All right, we're going to look at one more unusual but extremely helpful expression, and that is the time expression. Now, simply put, the time expression just expresses the time in seconds. Let's say, for example, go to the opacity real quick, and then option click the stopwatch, alt click the stopwatch on the PC, and just type in time. That's it. And then you'll notice that at 1 second, it says 1%. As it goes further in time, it gets 2% when it gets to about 2 seconds, and then 3, 4, 5, and so on. And again, just as we've seen with all other expressions in this chapter, we're just returning a number. That's all we're going for. But because of time's unique properties, that time is always moving forward, we could really use this expression to our advantage. Now I'm going to remove this expression by option clicking the stopwatch one more time. Also, you alt click it on the PC. And I'm going to hit the letter P to go back to position. And this time I'm going to create a wiggle expression on position. What I want to create here is the appearance that we're watching an earthquake. And so we actually want to see this get bigger and more intense as we go along. So I'm going to type in wiggle, but for the values of frequency and amplitude, I'm going to type time. So we can even use expressions for numbers in expressions. So what we're going to do is click outside of here to accept this. And what's going to happen is that the frequency and amplitude are going to be slow at first. Essentially, it's going to wiggle one value every 1 second. But as we move in time, it's going to wiggle 2 values twice a second, and then 3 values 3 times a second, and so on. So let's hit the home key, and we'll preview this. Just a second to render there, and there we go. So it's very subtle at first, and then the earth starts quaking a little bit more intensely. Look at how that picks up. And may I remind you, with such little effort on our part. Now, we could apply this to anything. Let's go back to our effects and presets panel. Or not back, it's the first time I've been there today, I guess. So we'll go ahead and apply that. Fast blur to this image. And then go ahead and create an expression for the blurriness property. Now, we fiddle with expressions down here in the timeline panel, but you could actually initiate one by option or alt clicking the stopwatches here in the effect controls panel. So we're going to do that for blurriness. And then come down here and just change the value to time. So the blurriness will also increase over time. So I'm going to hit the home key and preview this. And this will take just another couple seconds here. You can see it as it's rendering that it's getting more blurry as it goes along. And it's taking a little bit slower at the end here. Another second or so. Okay, here we go. So it starts rumbling. And then it gets more blurry as it rumbles. Now, the blur looks pretty good, but we're probably not rumbling as fast as we could. So what we can do is come back here to time and say that we want to use time, but let's do time times 2. So at 1 second in, we're going to have a wiggle value of 2, 2. 2 for frequency, 2 for amplitude. So let's go ahead and hit home and preview this and see what the final result looks like. So as we watch that now, it starts getting more intense and then really intense, as if there is a very, very big earthquake going on, or maybe that there's some kind of danger or blasting or something like that the sign is warning us about. And so again here, folks, we see the power of expressions. With very, very little effort, we made this earthquake, this random movement of the position property of this layer, and then increase that over time. This would be very challenging and complex to do with keyframes alone. And I might add, it would take a lot more math. Let's look at one other example of the time expression. Here I have in the time2 comp, good old Pac-Man, and this is the draft mode as I'm scrubbing this, but Pac-Man's eating these power pellets. And of course we have Pinky the Ghost chasing him. And so what we want to do is make Pinky the Ghost follow Pac-Man, but we want her to be a little bit behind. Now if we select the man layer, that's Pac-Man, hit letter U, we'll see that he's moving because we've animated the position property. So I want to do the same thing for the Pinky layer. So hit P for position. And again, we want the Pinky the Ghost layer to follow Pac-Man. So let's go ahead and option click or alt click position to create an expression. And let's go ahead and type this from scratch. We can do this now. This, capital C comp, dot, layer, and then in parentheses and then quotations, type the name of the layer exactly as it is, and then add another period, and then transform dot position. So again, it's saying that in this composition, there is a layer called the man, and in that layer's transform, use position to guide this property. So now as we scrub this, they both go together. But we don't want them to go together because then Pac-Man would die. That would be very sad. So let's go ahead and click in this expression and let's add another dot because we're actually going to access the keyframe data of the man layer here in this expression for the Pinky layer. So we're going to type in value, capital A for at, and then capital T time, and then in parentheses type time minus 1. So basically what it's saying, and then close the parentheses and click outside the box to accept the expression, use these position keyframes, have this Pinky the Ghost layer follow Pac-Man, but be behind 1 second, time minus 1. So now as we preview this, Pac-Man leaves the gate, and then Pinky comes along 1 second behind there, keeping Pac-Man ever so safe thanks to the time expression. And this is almost done, so we'll just do a RAM preview of that. There we go. And very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, the time expression.